morning, folks. Kirk here with Kirk, Giordano Plastering. What I'm going to show you today is a simple project. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and re-stucco this new block wall in here. They put a French drain in on the other side, so they broke all the stucco out and put new block in here. And what I'm going to do is put it back together. I'm only going to do the face here, and this corner, I'm going to put a corner aid here. I'm going to break out this nasty piece here where it doesn't match and actually make it match. This guy here, we're going to break that out too, and break out this slobbers, and I'm going to put a weldcrete. Weldcrete is bonding agent. We just paint it right over this painted surface. This will adhere by itself with stucco because of the suction. You don't need a bonding agent on this, just as long as it's clean. We're going to wire brush this to get all the dust and grime off it. That way the next coat will adhere by suction, just like that. Anyways, pretty simple finish, pretty simple job. The idea on this is to match this texture so it's not an eyesore at the very front of the house. The texture here is a float finish with a bunch of humps in here, and then they came and they shot a tex coat over that. Obviously the house was leaking, so this tex coat was shot over that so as to give it some extra protection. Anyway, you'll see us how we're doing it. I get a lot of calls for stuff just like this, so I figure I'll show you guys how to do it right. Alright guys, now that I've applied the weldcrete all over here, weldcrete, you can barely see it, it's kind of bluish, and that adheres new stucco to a painted surface, and we don't need any here. But I did put a corner on here to make my life a little easier. And right here where we're going to be 3 inches thick, that's what I'm going to coat first. All this, where it's real deep, that's the area I hit first. What I do is, I'm using just regular premium stucco, and I added a little bit of aluminite. Aluminite is an agent that accelerates the hardening. So I don't want to be here all day, and I don't want to do 3 trips because this is 1 to 2 inches in some areas. So a little bit of aluminite. It looks soft right now, but it's going to harden quick. Get all the big stuff first. Account for the settling of the drying. Then I'm going to hit my joint. Using a scoop, pulling it out of the bucket already mixed. The last thing I'm going to do is hit the joint of this corner and the corner aid. But I want this to set. Doesn't look like much here, but it's going to take 4 buckets of mud because it's pretty thick. This is just the first bucket. I probably won't bore you with the whole thing, so what I'll do is I'm going to mix up a couple more buckets. I'll show you it as we're doing the finish, which looks hard, but it's actually real simple. So when I get to that stage, you'll see the completion of it. Alright guys, that'll do it for this one. Key thing to remember is your joints. Get that joint real well, because if the joint shows around the perimeter of what you're doing, it's not going to look right. And again, how I match this heavy finish, it's a sand finish, and it's been shot again with an acrylic finish. Obviously the house was leaking, so we just use this sponge float and we just keep going over it. A lot of water. It's about 3 inches thick, and I'm using aluminite in my material because it's not cost effective for me to come here 3 different times to do a small patch, and I want to pass the savings on to the homeowners. I have my 9-foot utility bed truck with everything I need to do little patches like this. This didn't take me more than 3 hours, but you got to know what you're doing when you're doing stuff like this. It's cold, so we used a lot of aluminite, and 3-hour patch, it's done. All they have to do now is prime it and paint it. So I appreciate you watching this, and hopefully you learned something. Again, this is Kirk with Kirk Giordano Plastering. For those of you who want to do it but don't know how, hope this helped you a bit. And remember, I make it look easy because this is all I do for a living. But if you got something like this, call somebody like me, a professional, or you can try to do it yourself. But again, I make it look a little bit easier than it actually is. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.